Welcome in for the final time of the 2024 season. It's time for the WATD Fantasy Draft. Quinn Kelly, Johnny Rourke, Brendan Connolly with you here, and we have come to the end. Week 14. It is the state championship week, and no weekend, no weekend, just week. A state championship week at Gillette. We've got a few South Shore teams in the mix, so we've got just enough players to pick from. This will be interesting. A little bit more of a strategy draft than some of our past drafts. Last year we had so many different guys, so many different options to pick from. This year it's pretty tight. It's pretty much just every major skill player is going to come off the board from our team. So the four teams that we're considering eligible to be drafted from: Duxbury, Situate, Randolph, Severian. Mansfield to an extent, but I'd be a little bit surprised. So we'll just say it's Severian, Randolph, Duxbury, Situate. Four teams we're focusing on today, and yeah, and we're going to see most everybody come off the board. So excited for that. I'm excited to see the way that everybody tries to maneuver the board. And with that said, our draft order today: Johnny, myself, and then Brendan as we continue through on our rotation. So yeah, that's what we got. That sets the scene today. We do have two games for you this week. We'll be broadcasting Thursday at 3 and Friday at 3. Thursday is that Duxbury Situate Division 4 final. Friday is that Randolph West Boylston Division 8 final. We'll be on hand live for both of those on 95.9 WATD. And as I think I said on last week's draft, I'm sure everybody here on the draft today going to be taking some part in the WATD broadcast week. So excited for that. But with that, let's turn it over to Johnny and let's get this draft underway. Picking from our Super Bowl teams. Johnny, lead things off 1-1 for Super Bowl week.
Yeah, kind of a lot of pressure on this pick. All right, I have a strategy, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Jack Reese. I'm gonna go Jack Reese from Duxbury. I just think he was one of the lone bright spots for them, I thought, on Thanksgiving. I think it just got a little bit too out of hand and away from them, so he really wasn't a factor. But when he touched the ball, he was getting,
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9 yards. I mean, he had that one drive in the second half where I think he went for 12, 15, and 21 on the three carries that he had. So they were struggling to bring him down. I mean, it was about 44 to 14 at that point, so it really didn't matter. But
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that, they're going to have their hands full with Situate. Situate's got a really good defense, but if they are going to settle in and win this game, they need to start with Jack Reese in their running attack.
Yeah, I look at that Thanksgiving game and I'm not going to say that you take one or two mistakes away and the result changes. That was a pretty sound victory on the part of the Rams. That said, you pull away a turnover. I mean, you take away essentially the two turnovers and you leave Duxbury in a position where they could have just kind of kept running it with Jack Reese and not been forced to pass it and not gotten so far behind the eight ball. Maybe things are a little bit different, right? Like they could have at least, kept that one a little bit closer. I think you're absolutely right, Johnny. I think his numbers, he's got 21 touchdowns on the year. They're startling numbers. Like he's right, not entirely, nobody was Alex Barlow last year, but he's entering that kind of territory and he's had a pretty dominant run through the playoffs. First two legs, he had 191 and then 188 yards, and then followed up with an even 100 in the game after that. So he's hit the century mark in all three legs of the tournament. And as you said, I mean, they're going to need him against Situate, and I think that it's going to be hard for the Sailors defense to stop him. Jack Reese versus the Sailors linebacking unit, I think, is really going to be the matchup of the week. I think he's going to be able to get to the second level, and it's just how quickly they can get him to the ground. So I'm gonna go. I am gonna go to. I'm gonna go to the wide receiver room first, and I think that. So he was held off the scoreboard in the semifinals, but I think he's gonna get his in this one. It's just we talked about it on the show this Sunday. It's impossible in my mind that this guy goes without a catch 2 weeks in a row, and it seems like half of his catches are for touchdowns. I'm going with Lawson Foley from Scituate. I think he's the best pure wide receiver that will be playing. Maybe on the week, maybe outside of our South Shore matchups, I think you could make a case he might be the best wide receiver that takes the field at Gillette this week. And after watching the Patriots this past Sunday, I'd even say it probably goes as far back as this Sunday to next Sunday, the best wide receiver that takes the field. So happy to have him on my board. He's been just a dynamite this season. All right, Brendan, close up round one.
My strategy depended on those first two picks, and I'm going to go back to the running back room here. I'm going to go with Willie Robinson from Scituate. I think that's the highest scoring game of the two that we'll be dealing with here. And it's going to be a good one. It's going to come down to the stars, and I think Willie Robinson's going to leave his mark on this one in his final high school football game.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think Willie. I mean, as any kid that ends up going off to the service academy and being an athlete at the service academies, like it's it seems almost trite to say it, but he's such an impressive kid, and he struggled to kind of get going in the grafting game. He did not have his best game. I know that's going to be sticking in his craw. I know that he more than anybody else is motivated to go out and rebound from last year's performance against Duxbury and put together a complete effort. And I think he's going to be able to do that. He's going to make sure that one way or another he gets involved in this game. And I think that I think a betting man likes him to find the end zone at Gillette for sure. All right, Johnny, round two.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to a pass catcher here. I'm gonna go with Roman Glowak from Scituate. I think he's a guy that has been trending in the right direction here as the season has progressed. We talked about this last night on the Sports Exchange. I think Duxbury really struggled with the tight end from Marshfield.
Mhm.
So I think that's a spot where Roman's going to be able to step in and they can match up pretty well against the 1 and 2 wide receiver, but do they have that third guy that can step up and cover Roman for an extended period of time? So I think he's going to find his.
Yeah, I agree. We got a little run on the Sailors going here. I think that the way that he has come along as the season has progressed has been really impressive. And yeah, you said it, Johnny. We talked about it. I think that makes them extra dangerous. I think that so much attention has to be paid to Lawson Foley, and then Joey Burke can kind of burn you as number two guy. So Roman will get his chances, and unless Duxbury's made some good adjustments on how they're kind of defending that position, then you know I think Scituate might be able to get him the ball. All right, I am going to. I'm excited that this kind of breaking how I was hoping in the early stages. I'm going to go with Mackay White out of Randolph to get to Gillette when you lose in I think like week 4 or 5 your number one running back and the guy that was supposed to kind of carry you, the guy that was so good for you last year, over 1,000 yards rushing. I think like finished with 1,400 yards rushing, and Nate Gomes. They're not going to be playing with him. Mackay has done such a great job to step up and has been so good for them. I think he's got 32 total touchdowns on the year across all facets of the game. Even if it proves that West Boylston is just a little bit much for them, there's no way he doesn't find at least a little bit there at Gillette. So I love Mackay White, and I'm gonna take him as my first running back off the board. All right, Brendan.
So with Zavarian, since we don't know if Vinny Boost is playing, this kind of just a combined one with if Luke Bell takes over the lead back role. Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah. I'd probably just go with the latter, quite honestly, because so Vinny went down injured in the first quarter of the BC High game. Confirms did not play on Thanksgiving. It doesn't seem to me that that was a rest thing. My concern is that he is in fact injured. So, um, but yeah, you can take the lead back, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's likely
I'll
to be
just say
Luke Bell.
the lead back for Zavarian because if Boost is playing and he's playing and he's going to play through it, and I still think that's probably worthy of taking a pick here at this spot. And Luke Bell, same situation. If Bosa's out, I think Zavarian's going to go with the running game at portions of this big contest with Needham, and he's going to be the beneficiary if so.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll give you that if it's not Vinny and it is Luke, that's particularly exciting because Luke's a South Shore kid, Middleborough native. And so added layer there. Excited to have him on the board. And I think a really good pick. And it probably gives you a little bit extra in the special teams area of the game as well. All right, Johnny, round three.
Hmm.
Before you make your pick, is my camera frozen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm somehow this call is still going, but the Zoom program says it's not working and the screen is grayed out. So we'll just continue right along and it all figures itself out.
There
All right, Johnny.
we go. Couple different ways I can go here. I mean, I don't totally want to do this, but I think if he's still there, I gotta go Joey Burr. I don't love the idea of doing two pass catchers from the same team, but Joey Burke's a phenomenal talent, and I think kind of part of the reason I picked Roman with my last pick is I think Duxbury's has a decent ability to, like I said, guard the top two receivers, which are Lawson Foley and Joey Burke. But I think if Situate's able to buzz like they can, I think
Hmm.
they're all going to eat on the outside. So I'm going to take Joey.
And listen, Joey had an unbelievable game against Grafton, right? I think that again, it's a kind of a similar thing to Roman, where if Lawson's getting doubled, Joey's got the ability to go off, and yeah, and so I think maybe you see that at Gillette. It's just going to kind of depend on how good the back end of the defense plays for Duxbury, obviously, but I think Joey's going to certainly have a few receptions in this game. All right, I am going to let's see here. Need a running back, wide receiver, quarterback. I'm gonna go. Yeah, this is tough. So I think that getting to that second level of the ground game is a challenge. So I'm gonna actually end up doing the same thing, Johnny, and I'm gonna double up and I'm gonna go with a guy Joseph from Randolph. Um, I think that he has elevated. He's been the most prominent number two for Randolph. With with Nate Gomes Correa getting injured in the middle of the season, Mackay stepped up. He was that number one. I think that what Hagai has done to give them a good second option, and they have even more than that. They have other guys that we'll kind of talk about here, but Hagai has stepped up and been a great number two for them. And I think they're going to have to use everybody in this game to get. So apologies there for the technical difficulties. So if I repeat myself, bear with me. But Hagai Joseph, the pick here, because just a legit strong number two option for Randolph. They're going to have to go deep in this game as far as mixing up their targets and who's getting the ball and whatnot to keep West Boylston on their toes and try to win this game. So I think Hagai is definitely going to get his opportunities in this one. All right, Brendan, close up round three.
Well, a lot of the big stars have already come off the board early on, but you can never go wrong here. I might go to the quarterback room in this round. I'm going to go with Donovan out of Scituate, who's had an incredible season, only a junior, and he's really just filled in the role quite well. And I think Scituate, regardless of whether they decide to run or pass, they always find ways to pick up their numbers in both categories, and he always finds ways to fill up the stat sheet. So I'm going to go with Donovan here.
Yeah, I think this was probably somebody who I had penciled is likely to be the first quarterback off the board. And it was just kind of a wait and see game as when that guy was going to come. I think that Johnny has probably the highest ceiling in terms of, he's going to throw for some touchdowns in this game. Um, they are going to rely on him. Certainly, a team that likes its balance can run the ball and pass the ball, but they're going to throw the ball on Duxbury, no question about it. So Johnny's going to get his opportunities. As you said, Brennan, he's been really, really excellent this year. He's stepped up big for them. Um, and to kind of look at the group and where it was last year, obviously um, had a really, really good quarterback in Jackson Belson that moves on, and you have so many returning pieces, and the question mark is just going to kind of be, okay, how does that quarterback step in? And, is the play strong enough that we can take advantage of all of these weapons that we have, and it has been all season long for Johnny Donovan. He's a big reason why they're at this stage once again, why they're going into the D4 Super Bowl, maybe even as the favorites to win it, because he's stepped in and he's given them exactly what they needed at the quarterback position. So I think certainly worthy of being the first quarterback off the board this week. All right, Johnny, round four.
I might get nuts here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the Situate Sailors defense.
Whoa.
Yep.
Oh,
All right.
And I just feel like they're the top defense in my mind. So I might be reaching a little bit here with an early pick, but they're just a defense that I want. They're as good as they are on offense. I think they might be better on defense. I think Duxbury is going to have their work cut out for them. I think Duxbury is, there's a world in which they can put up points, but I also think there's a world in which Situate comes out and kind of just squashes them. So I know I'm kind of going against my pick. So ideally, Reese does all the damage for Duxbury in a low scoring affair. But no, I think they have a tremendous defense. So I wanna go get them.
I I love it. You know what? Roll the dice. You got confidence in your defense. Might as well go after it, right? Like if it's a
they
low
do like their
scoring game,
touchdowns too.
say again.
Situate does like their touchdowns too defensively.
That's true. That's true. They don't shy away from special teams touchdowns either. I don't think that's a bad pick, Johnny.
And I
Um,
honestly, I just kind of view it as Needham's good offensively, Situate's good offensively. So not that Duxbury isn't, but it might be the lesser of the evils when it comes to defenses.
yeah, I think that's probably fair. That's probably fair. All right, that's going to put me to the board. I'm going to go to quarterback then, and I'm going to take Trevor Jones. I think when you look at the two quarterbacks remaining, they're both, not run first, but well, yes, they are. They're run first quarterbacks. They can certainly pass the ball. I would, I think it's probably likely that you're going to see them be put in positions to throw the ball a little bit, whether that be as an element of, surprise early on or needing to, kind of keep up scoring wise late. I think you're going to see both of them throw the ball. But, as far as who is, more regularly mixed, it really does feel like the Duxbury offense is kind of Jack Reese and Trevor Jones. And Jones will throw the ball, but he's going to get carries in this game. They've pretty evenly split the carries between him and Jack Reese, in recent weeks and really throughout most of the season. I think he's got like 140 something carries to 170 something for Jack Reese. So Trevor's going to carry the ball about 10 to 15 times at least. And I he had a huge moment last year in this game when he ran. I want to say it was Ronan Manning over to get into the end zone. I could be mistaken on who it was. I feel like it was Ronan down at the goal line right in front of us on the south end zone, and that was a spectacular moment. And then of course he had the long touchdown pass to Zach Falls. He's been here, done that already, and I think he goes out and has a good game. So I'm happy to have Trevor Jones. All right, Brendan.
I think I still need receivers here, so I'm going to go to Duxbury's lead receiver and probably Jones's favorite target with Jack Sovic, who puts up decent numbers every game. I know Duxbury's more of a run-heavy team, just like last year, but they passed a little bit more, and he's usually been the guy that goes off, if so.
Yeah, I think it's him or one other guy, and I think he's certainly a worthy guy to come off the board. I love his game. I sometimes it surprises me they're not more dynamic as a passing offense than they are, because he's really really talented on the outside. I think he's going to get his looks in this game. Um, Situate defensively was really good against Grafton, but they did give up some plays downfield. And I think for Duxbury, it's going to be just about dialing those in and finding them, taking them when they come. And I think there's a strong likelihood that Sovic's on the receiving end of one of those big plays. So, all right, round five, Johnny.
Well, it's nice because I know who my quarterback is going to be, so I'll wait on that. Um, yeah, okay. Well, you might as well call up Linwood Pizza because we're going to be heavy Randolph here. I'm going to go Seneca Spencer. Obviously, he's their third running back option, but I do think he'll get some play. I think he'll get some mix. He's a guy that, obviously is probably the most limited use guy compared to the three on that team, but I do think in their matchup, they're going to need everybody to step up, especially in the running game. It's going to be a run heavy game. So I definitely think he'll get touches.
Yeah, no question about it. Again, I mean, it goes back to what I said with a guy Joseph. Like I just think it's not going to be just one guy in this game. They can't afford for it to be just one guy. They're going to have to kind of bring everybody in, get everybody touches, keep things, um, keep some mystery in the offense and surprise West Boylston. So I think Seneca certainly gets some touches in this game. So I think that's a worthwhile pick, Johnny. All right, looking up and down my board. So I have my two running backs. I have one of my receivers and I have my quarterback. So I need a wide receiver and a defense. So I'm gonna go wide receiver here, and just bet that, well, just hope, I guess, that I have my pick at defense when it comes back around. But I'm looking at the wide receiver room, and I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it with. I'm gonna keep it with Duxbury. I'm between two. Hmm. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go with Ian McNeil. I'm gonna go with Ian McNeil. My options were on the inside or the outside. I'm gonna go with McNeil and just say we're thinking that they're going to be put in a position where they have to throw to the outside, and he's going to get some looks. Might factor in the special teams as well. So yeah, that's my logic. I'm going Ian McNeil, wide receiver for Duxbury. All right, Brendan.
All right, I need a receiver and a defense. I'm going to go with the new waiver wire ad that we added to our free agent list here. And I'm going to go with Dave Chacavito out of Zavarian, who has had a good season so far in the receiving game. And I think if Zavarian's going to win, it's going to be a close one back and forth. It's not going to be a game where they just rely on the run game and they pull away quick. I think we're going to still see, like I said earlier, with Luke Bell, or Vinny Busa, whoever it is, they're going to get their touches and some scoring. But one of the receivers is going to have to step up. I think it's going to be him.
Is that how you say it?
Chagavedo?
Yeah, is that how you say it? I think
I'm
you're
guessing.
okay. I think you're.
Yeah.
I think the
I
V,
thoued you had insider information because I
because
was
that's
reading that
like
wrong.
not
But
even how I would a million years pronounce it looking at it. So Shiavagado, I believe, just based on
Shiavagedo.
where that V is.
I kind of like. I couldn't even tell you what Brendan said, but I kind of liked it.
Well,
Chavagado.
Gado.
Domo Origato, Mr. Roboto. Uh,
Yeah, I was right on Kobach.
yeah, you were. So I shouldn't doubt you. You were right on Kobog. Um, yeah, no, listen, he's super talented. They're going to get the ball to the outside. I think there is a certain shame that, well, shame or not, like that's a good job on you and I, Johnny, keeping our biases out of it, not putting a Severian guy on the board. We're not representing for the Hawks well, but Brennan's carrying the banner
I'll
for
be on
us.
the sideline. I'll be in the trenches when they need me.
That's
So
right. That's
when they
right.
post, I'll be there. I also
Uh,
just as a little quick, not to derail this, as a quick little plug as an honorable mention, it's a crime Jake Falls didn't get picked after a 2 touchdown 100 yard performance on Thanksgiving. But that's just as limited as we are, it is fairly deep though. They're three
Yeah.
good teams. So, but I just had to plug that of a guy who balled out on Thanksgiving and then doesn't get picked.
So that was where I was between he and Ian, and then and went with Ian. Um,
It was equally on me because
yeah,
I went. It's equally on me. I picked two guys that weren't him, but I had to get his name out there because he played tremendous against
he
Marshall,
did.
and
He had a
he
fantastic
earned
game.
better from us than he got here.
He did. He did. It's true. All right. Well, with that, Johnny, your final pick, looking for your quarterback.
Yep. Randolph again. Abraham Cornett. Obviously a run first guy. I think in their matchup it's going to be run heavy, but I do think a lot of that can stem from him as well. So I'm happy to take him here. And yeah, I think depending on the game goes, I think I would prefer him to not to have to throw the ball late in the game. That means they're in a good spot. But if they are and they're kind of fighting an uphill battle, which very well could be the case just with their matchup. I think he's going to be successful throwing the ball as well.
Yeah, there's a nice piece right now in the Ledger. I'm trying to see. I think it's Eric McHugh who wrote it about Abe Cornett's kind of development this year and how big a piece he's been in Randolph's success when it doesn't necessarily seem that way. You think obviously Nate Gomes, and then he goes down. You think about Mekhi White, who's been so transcendent. But I think that, Abe being able to pass, he's come up with those big plays in games for them. And I think that they're going to need that in this one, whether they surprise West Boylston going to the air early or they're forced to go to the air late, or even just, I feel like he's going to be a big piece of things, running the option, running the ball when there's so many other different places. The three other guys who we've drafted today that could very easily get the ball and go and be successful. And he is going to be that wrinkle, I think, in the Randolph offense that maybe gives West Boylston some trouble. So you're going into a big game trying to knock off a back-to-back champion across two divisions, the multiple weight class champion. They're gonna need him to be good. So I like to see you riding with him, Johnny.
And here's the benefit too: is with all their weapons, only one guy is going to touch the ball every play,
Yeah.
and it's going to be eight. Whether or not
Yep.
he hands the ball off, but we know he's getting touches.
He's getting touches. That is very true. All right. With that defense, and I'm gonna go Duxbury. I'm gonna go Duxbury. I know that's crazy coming off of a 51-point week. Um, I think this is a complete toss-up in my mind between the two left, and I just I think that that's a group that is going to have their hands full with Situate, no doubt about it. That's a very good offense to go up against. That said, that's a group that got points put up on them in a way that never happens this past week. And if there is a group that is going to be motivated to turn it around and come back and have a good week and show out well at Gillette, it's the Duxbury defense. So I'm gonna bet on the Dragons, having a little piss and vinegar going on and playing strong. And Brendan, that leaves it to you. Final pick of the draft.
I'm going to go to the Division One Super Bowl between Zavarian and Needham, and I'm going to pick Zavarian. I think it's just because I feel like this game has the most potential to be a running game between the two, which could lead to a lower score in theory. So maybe a 21-17 game. On the show, I predicted 28-21, but yeah, I could see it even going lower than that. So it's a
Yeah,
possibility.
I think that honestly, as compared to any of the other three defenses available to be drafted, I think that Severian's defense's advantage is that they are later in the day. The other two games are 3 o'clock. You're going to start those games. The first half is going to be played with some daylight still peeking through. By the time Severian's game kicks off, temperatures are going to drop, conditions are going to be kicking up. Like they're going to have, I think, the most kind of, wet and cold and raw game of the three that, we're drafting from here. So that lends itself certainly to a lower offensive game. I think that you're probably going to see across the board the later games each and every day are going to be a little bit lower scoring than the early games. So I think that's certainly a fair pick. All right, let me run them down. Johnny out of the first position, Abe Cornett at quarterback out of Randolph. Your running backs, Jack Reese out of Duxbury and Seneca Spencer out of Randolph. Your wide receivers are tight end Roman Glowak out of Scituate and Joey Burke also out of Scituate with the Scituate defense. For me, I'm sorry, out of the two position, I got Trevor Jones at quarterback out of Duxbury. I've got running backs Mackay White and Haggai Joseph both out of Randolph. Wide receivers Lawson Foley out of Scituate and Ian McNeil out of Duxbury and the Duxbury defense. And for Brendan out of the final position, Johnny Donovan, quarterback out of Scituate. Running backs Willie Robinson and Luke Bell / Vinny Busa out of Scituate and Severian, respectively. And then Jack Sovic out of Duxbury and David Shiavagato, however you'd like to say, wide receiver out of.
I'm going to try to say it again. I either butchered it or I aced it. I don't know. It's all.
We will find out. We will find out. Or we will find out that the PA guy at Gillette also doesn't have any clue. So we will find out. But they're going to hand out those rosters with pronunciation guides. So hopefully we'll have a clear picture by then. All right, that puts a wrap on it. Another season of the WATD Fantasy Draft is in the book. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our YouTube while you're here. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We'll have updates from all the games. But keep it here with this YouTube page. We'll have some highlights from the Super Bowls for you in the week following. Just as we did last year, we'll get some of the audio from our call, some of the video from elsewhere, and put it all together. So stay tuned for all that content coming out post week, and look out for some big announcements coming down the pipeline regarding the third annual Bill Wilhelm Award. And of course, we'll see you on Thursday for Duxbury Scituate, and Friday again for Randolph West Boylston. For Brendan and Johnny, I'm Quinn, and that is a wrap on the 2024 WATD Fantasy Football season. Thanks very much.